Hi, I'm Dr. Benjamin Gilad, one of the founders of the Academy of Competitive Intelligence. And if you are watching this video, I assume that you watched the previous one, the introduction, and I was able to at least intrigue you in the difference between the common perception of competitive intelligence as piles of data on competitors to what competitive intelligence power really is, which is as a strategic early warning process. But this process is hard. It requires effort. And many people, especially successful, stop watching for better ways to compete. They coast on the current success. In the management literature, it's known as complacency. And successful organizations are actually more prone to be complacent than failing ones. So if you're facing with the problem of watching continuously for change, may I suggest that you follow the methodology we follow, which is the one Jack Welch used at General Electric. When Jack Welch was the CEO of General Electric, he used to bring, during the strategy review process on an annual basis, he used to bring the top executives of the different businesses and question them on 5 areas. And he did it every year. And, well, questioning might be a little too gentle. He grilled them on 5 questions. And they knew what the questions are going to be. Because they knew what the questions are going to be, they grilled their subordinates throughout the year what's happening on these 5 areas. And their subordinates grilled theirs. And it became a whole culture of General Electric infused with the same 5 questions that had to be updated continually. Here are the 5 questions. What's the playing field look like now? How is it going to look in the future? What are the competition up to? What are you up to? And finally, what's the winning move? The last question, what's the winning move? Pure strategy. The first 3 questions, what's the playing field? How is it changing? What are others doing? Pure competitive intelligence. The 4th question, what are you up to, is a test of your ability to honestly assess yourself vis-a-vis other players in the market, not necessarily just competitors. These questions are tough. And they are not just, let's cut some cost, or let's add a budget to R&D. These are tough questions of strategy. And the reason Jack Welch used to use them year after year after year is because he had a fundamental belief regarding strategy. He believed that every strategy starts with an aha moment. An aha moment is not let's cut cost or let's do social advertising. An aha moment is tough. And in order to get to the aha moment, you have to have a process that answers those 5 questions continually. But it gets worse. Even if you got the aha moment and you have a winning move, you're going to go into the mode, most likely, of coasting on that success, because the aha moment is the only way that leads to sustainable competitive edge. Once you get the competitive edge, you tend to coast. For Jack Welch, the search was always for the next aha moment. It wasn't enough you to had one. It was the next one. So he instilled inside General Electric a process that was aimed at always looking out for the next aha moment, which is looking out for a better way to compete. And this is the process. Debate, grapple with, wallow in, and dig into, deeply dig into the playing field and its different players. This is the process that Jack Welch created at General Electric. This is what the competitive intelligence process is all about. A continuous watch of the environment that dig deep into the playing field. Now, the process of digging deep into the playing field, which, as I said before, we call it strategic early warning process, or the competitive intelligence process, requires three things. It requires structure, rules, and people who know what to look for, where to look for, and how to separate noise from insights into the playing field. Noise is management's #1 problem today. How many emails did you get today? Less than 450? Consider yourself lucky. How many meetings did you go during the last week? More than 20? Now, hand over heart. How many of those emails, and I'm not saying you shouldn't read them or answer, how many of those meetings that you went to meaningfully contributed to you getting closer to the aha moment, to you finding this pivot, as we call it in strategy, toward being a better competitor, a more effective competitor? So if you don't know how to separate noise from insight, you will chase your tail forever. What I'm suggesting is that the process of competitive intelligence or strategic early warning has the following components. First, it's a structured, continuous watch of the playing field, the way Jack Welch talked about, digging deep into it. That's the process. The second is the product. Anything that gets you closer to the aha moment, to the pivot in strategy. And third, it's a capability of separating noise from insights. The alternative to having such a process and to having skilled, trained eyes looking for signs of meaningful change in the market, the alternative is basically an internal focus. And when you have this internal focus, a self-centered focus, I can guarantee one thing. You are going to be slow to react to change. Most managers look at the clear sky up there. You have to have your managers in every function, at least a few, who know how to look for early signs of the tsunami. Most managers are extremely busy thinking about the next day's battle, and I can't blame them. You have to have the skill in your organization looking up for signs that the war is changing. At the Academy, our preferred methodology for this continuous structured watch for what is changing out there in the world is the famous Michael Porter's framework, which is about a tug of war in an industry structure between high-impact players. Remember this because this is what Larry Fink said in the previous video. While you aren't watching, the world is changing. Every business success starts with an ability to search and recognize early signs of change while you can still make a difference. Larry Fink himself from BlackRock made BlackRock to what it is by recognizing one change in the market. Change in computer algorithm technology that will allow passive investment, known as ETF, exchange-traded funds, to perform at least as well as active investments, which require a lot of investment in research. And he recognizes before other people. But it's not about technology. It was about his people knowing what to ask from the algorithm and how to interpret the results. Every business failure is a failure to watch change early enough. The famous Sony company, one of the biggest and greatest technology companies in the world, has fallen on hard times. It's a shadow of its former self. And its CEO, Hirai, said, Sony has failed to recognize change in the competitive landscape. Really? Another company that is in decline, Sharp, its CEO said, management and governors in our organization failed to catch up to change in the world and was slow to react. That's what competitive intelligence is about. So while you aren't watching, if you don't have skilled people to do the watch, the world is changing. Let us train your people. Thanks for watching us. We train you to watch the world.